courageous enough to apply in Jesus' name. Amen. So talking about anxiety, about being anxious about so anxiety, worry, preoccupation, kind of all of that. Let's just talk through that a little bit. Do you find yourself in that space? All right, then let's talk this out. What does it feel like? So what we're going to do? We're going to look at a passage, but it's also going to tell you medically what are some of the things that anxiety does. Although the Lord had said, "I don't want you to do that," but there are some things physiologically and mentally that and emotionally that happen as a result of being anxious, because He tells us in Philippians 4, "Be anxious for nothing." And so, in fact, we go there. That's not where we'll end up. We're going to end up back in Matthew 6, but He says, "Be anxious for nothing." So, is there anything that applies to it? Notice what He said, verse 6 of Philippians 4. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And then, as a result, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So, the shielding, the protecting, the removal of the anxiety, the peace of God comes in to replace if you stop. But there's something you got to do. If you don't get it, then there's something else that just can't happen. All right, so let's go back to the original question. Do you find yourself preoccupied, distracted by, worried about, anxious about things? And what do you do when it happens? Because the thing it'll keep getting bigger. And it's like, what's that game? Pac-Man, eat 'em up. That, and it'll just keep getting and keep getting and keep digging. Because if you don't stop it at some point, then it attaches itself to something else. And the Lord just says you don't really have to do that. It doesn't have to be like that, but it can be like that. But it doesn't have to be like that. And you can't think your way out of it. You can't just say, I'm just going to stop worrying. So, some of the medical pieces that come out of when there's high level of anxiety, one is that there is a sense sometime of doom. I can't do anything about it. This is too much. And so, therefore, the thought, should we call it a defeatist attitude, comes out of it when you get too anxious, because it's like, why bother? And especially when you try to do something and it doesn't turn out well, then you're really ready to throw your hands up in the air and say, why am I doing this in the first place? So, a defeatist attitude comes as a result of anxiety. And the reason why we challenge you to write these down is because you want to sometime come back to know if I am feeling anxious, because you might not even know that's what it is. You may just think you're just thinking about something, but this, like, why am I bothering? Why am I doing it? That's one of the things. The second thing is you might have some headaches and you don't know where it came from. You don't know where it came from. You just, all of a sudden, your head starts hurting and you start backpedaling and try to figure out what have you been doing. But that thing starts to load up on you. See, in other words, it physically starts to have an effect because the mind is preoccupied with something and not acting on it at all. And that's what it really feels like, being anxious. It's like something just sitting on you, and the longer it sits, then the worse it gets. Then the other thing, so you get the headaches and become irritable. You get you snapping at people and doing and saying stuff, and you're trying to figure out why. It's this anxiety stuff. It does that because it makes you irritable. You become very impatient with what people do and say, "Ah, I'm not feeling you today." That kind of stuff. When those kind of thoughts start to come, then you might want to check to see, does it have more to do with you than it does with other people? Because really, if we're honest, it has less to do with other people and more to do with us. with what's happening, what we're doing with ourselves. And then you may even find that some other things that go along with that are breathing problems, shortness of breath, fatigue. You're tired, and you might have laid down all night, but you're still tired, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is this? And then so you're restless, or you sleep, but it's a bad sleep. You get up and you want to lay back down, and it won't do you any good. Then your blood pressure can go all over the place, and it has nothing to do with your diet or what you've been eating. It's just head, uh, thumbing, throbbing, other things. Then, believe this one or not, muscle aches and pain are tied into anxiety. Sometimes when it starts to increase, and you haven't done anything else, but then you start looking at, what am I thinking about? How am I dealing with stuff? Am I preoccupied? Do I have an attitude towards somebody? Then when you start having these unusual aches and pains, then all these things start to come together. I mean, it's just like somebody who deals with unforgiveness. They are found out in hospitals when they finally forgive somebody, then their vital organs start to become stronger. There have been people who've gone in with liver problem, gone in with thyroid problem, and was holding things against people, and they finally shifted, and the numbers start to change because physically the chemicals inside of us are all connected to what our thoughts really are. Then panic attacks. Um, so when you remember this movie we were looking at the other day, and this gentleman just had, you have a panic attack and you don't even know what to call it. You just hyperventilating, can't do anything, frozen by the moment. If somebody was running behind you, you still couldn't move. You just frozen, just panic attack. You're disoriented. You're talking crazy. It's just all kinds of stuff going on, and you may not have known that that's what you're dealing with. Then depression is one of the other things that goes along with that. All right. So let me go back over those, and you really ought to write these down. Feeling defeated, can't do any better. Headaches, being irritable, sometimes having breathing challenges, blood pressure inconsistent, muscle aches and pains, panic attacks. All right, you got those so far? Depression is another one. Depression becomes the next. Well, I'm gonna come back and instead of using rest, I'm gonna call it fatigue. So rather than rest is the word fatigue. And depression, you may not want to call it that, but when it says, I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like doing anything now. And you don't know that is low grade depression, especially since you never knew that that's what it was, but you find yourself not motivated to do things that you normally would be, or that you used to look forward to. Hey, come and go with us. I'm not going anywhere. It's kind of like that. So then another one is pounding heart. Now you find yourself sometimes hearing your heart beating out loud. And sometimes you can just hear it. You're not putting your hand on, but you can just hear it in your ears, your heart beating. Those things really play a part. I'll go back over these one more time. Then upset stomach. Sometimes you can't keep food down. Or have you experienced sometime this just don't taste right, and you really wanted it, and it doesn't taste right. Like your taste buds get confused. This is amazing. So let me go back over these one more time about anxiety, helplessness, a defeatist, helpless, feeling helpless or defeated. The second thing is headaches. The third thing is being irritable, breathing challenges, blood pressure inconsistent all over the place, muscle aches and pain, panic attacks, depression, extreme fatigue, pounding heart, upset stomach, nausea, all of that. All right. So you're hearing those things. You're experiencing any of that? You're experiencing more than one of these things, and you just kind of see it, and you don't feel like normal, don't feel right. Then now you got to stop and come back and ask yourself, what am I preoccupied with? Because that becomes the question now. Is there something I'm preoccupied with or wondering how it's going to turn out? Now it's your turn. I've set the tone for it. Now it's your turn to do some talking. So I'm going to listen and potentially respond. Now it's your turn. So everybody doesn't have to say something at the same time.
Initially regarding the potential cuts and everything that are before the certain agencies. That was a concern.
Now
And
certain agencies are the one that you're with,
yes, sir.
the one that you're with,
Yes, sir.
that they told you they're gonna cut you.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
was.
I'm straight question.
Did they tell me directly?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It was the preoccupied part.
Okay.
And then
Mhm.
the other part is being mindful, especially how we're taught here, of seeing certain things that are already in place long before it was announced. Example, the redlining in certain areas where they've already moved to whites only and such like that. People found lynched. So it was the whole preoccupation of working against myself, not to be distracted with that, not being frustrated with how is it I'm the only one that seems to see it, not me literally, only one person. So that's how I did it. I had to move on the message that I may have heard that particular Sunday so that I could replace those thoughts because my brain still works.
So now,
And
what are your thoughts now?
uh, I pretty much have gotten not 100%, but pretty much I don't tolerate me doing that.
All right.
Say it another way.
No,
Okay.
if you're tolerating yourself 20%, you're tolerating yourself.
That's correct.
So that means it's just like 100%.
Okay, so I'll say it's not at 20%, it's less than that. When it started, it was up
If
there
it's
close to
one, if
100.
it's 1%,
Oh, well, then I'm tolerating.
okay, then that's exactly what I mean. If it's 1%,
Yes, sir.
if they tell you no salt and you get 2 grains, what are you doing?
Getting salt.
Okay, now you got it.
Yes, sir.
Now you all got that. That's literally it's what it's like. Well, I'm not gonna do it. That's what people say. I don't do it as much as I was,
Yes,
but I am.
that's correct.
So we still have to deal with that. Okay, anybody else? We're gonna talk about how we can get through it because you play this scenario all the way out, and we're gonna take this one at a time. You play this scenario all the way out. Let's say they do come to you and say this is your last day. What do you do? Have a stroke? Have a heart attack? Pass out? What do you do? What do you do?
He had to remind me this is not my first time where I faced a corporate issue like that, losing your job.
You all got to stay. You guys got to stay on this now. You and Bobby, you got to get Bobby up out of his seat. Bobby got to be up on his feet. What are you gonna do? Throw the mic to somebody or something? What are you gonna do? Yeah.
What the Lord reminded me of since I've been in St. Louis that I have faced cuts before, division when I was with a corporation.
So she just said something about cuts, talking about layoffs and all of that stuff. So can kingdom people get cut or laid off?
No.
Or a better way of looking at this, they're being transitioned.
Yes, sir.
So our whole language
Is different. Yeah, there I go.
For me, um, I noticed that when I am distracted and I'm not reading or setting aside time like how I normally do for my word and to spend time with the Lord, all of those things that you listed can creep upon me way more easy than when I have done my reading and spent my time with the Lord like how I'm supposed to. And even when things are irritating me and I'm starting to get rammed up, I now know I need to go to my word. Take a second, take a step back, whether I'm at work, at home, wherever, and then come back.
So now, is there anything you're distracted by now? We'll come back. Yeah, I know. If you thinking about it, then it is something. Now that's what that says.
I found myself with muscle aches and migraines and looking it up, trying to figure out why I'm aching and having random headaches. I even
So you asked the Lord about it, right? You know you got your answer tonight, right?
I got
Okay,
it.
all right, all right, okay.
But something that kind of made my stomach hurt a little bit was when you had said something about low grade depression. I started counseling through the EAP program a couple months ago, and in the first session, she asked me if I was depressed, and I looked at her like, "Girl, I ain't depressed. I'm good. You know, I ain't moved a beat." And so when you kind of being unmotivated and just not feeling like doing much of anything that you would normally want to do, I mean, it had me written all over it. So I mean that just didn't feel good for us. So I mean, I got a name to it now.
So the denial is such a deterrent to healing. It always precedes healing because we like, I don't need that. Don't be giving me that. It's just like I know someone who just had surgery and they were offering a prescription for pain. I don't like pain medication. I'm afraid to get hooked on it. I said, don't worry. When you hurt enough, you're gonna end up taking. I'll never do it. After day 3 in that rehab, all of a sudden, this won't hook me, will it? Like that was not why they gave it to you. They knew you would be having this pain after this procedure. So now she's okay after she did what she needed to do, but she suffered unnecessarily. All right, that's how it goes. I know you strong children of God don't want to admit that you pray to God and it poofs away. It does not. The practical things that He's given us to do, He's not going to miraculously do them. He's just not. When He gives us a command about something and we don't do it, then we forfeit the right to go to Him and ask Him to override our failure to do what we've been told, what He's already said. So then it's like, well, Lord, aren't you going to deliver me from this? He said, I told you how to get out of it. So now why are you coming to me? You in it now. You need to go back and do what I said. Okay,
Yeah.
anybody else? So you were about to say, Duane?
Yeah, I wanted.
It's on. We heard you.
Okay, this don't sound like it, but you just said something about
You're
that.
so
You just said something
vain.
about that pain.
So, but go on.
You just said something about that pain. I wanted to speak to the pain and what you think about. I don't like shots. I don't like needles. I don't like any of that. When that sciatica hit me, I was asking for a needle. And they could stick the needle right in the pain and shoot it full of whatever fluid supposed to go in there to stop it. I didn't care. The pain I had, I wouldn't even have felt the needle. So that was one thing. But anyway, I've dealt with depression and what's that other one? Being irritable and feeling anxious at the same time. I've been there. I've been healed from it, but I know what it's like to be in that. It's no fun. All I wanted to do was sit in the dark. And this was on my job. Go to work every day, sit in my office with the light out. Don't bother me. Leave me alone. I don't want to go to no meetings. I don't want to be in anything. Just leave me alone. I'll do my little work, but leave me alone.
He was a disgruntled employee.
Yeah. So I went through it.
All right. We're going to close the door on her. Tell her she's all over the airwaves. Tell her. You just come on, stand up here and do it, and everybody's all over there. All right, go on.
No, it's just that you lose faith. You just in your own head, and you live.
Oh no, hold on. Let me stop you. You can't lose faith. So now you have to decide how you're going to respond to that, because you can't lose faith. How can we lose what he gives us?
Right.
Romans 12 says he's given unto each of us a measure of faith. So how can we lose that? So therefore, again, they just help you. You got to reframe what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Kind of taught about that too. So during that time, I didn't visit the Word. I didn't call on the Lord. I just stayed in it. I think we were talking about it last week, that God is there all the time, but you just, some reason you don't give it to him. You just try to do it yourself. I don't know if it's conscious, unconscious, but you just stay. Maybe I wanted to be in it or something. I don't know, but it was maybe I was justifying.
So no. Galatians 5, you walk in the Spirit and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you walk in the flesh, you will not fulfill the works of the Spirit. So once you start going down flesh street, then flesh begets flesh. And until you get away from it, you can't experience other than that.
That's right.
In fact, it gets worse.
It did.
And because that's all that's there. That's all that's there. What will make us think we can walk around in a garbage dump or a junkyard and find something other than junk in a junkyard, or in a garbage dump other than the smell of garbage? And sometimes we just walk around in it thinking that we're going to smell something different, but that's what it is. And anybody who you find there, they'll be feeling and smelling the same way. And so trying to have a conversation with them, are you all following it? Trying to have a conversation with them, they smelling the same thing, feeling the same thing, walking through the same thing that you are, and they are helpless to you.
And I was looking for those people.
And when they would have kept you stuck in it, smelling like it, because they knew the same thing.
Yeah.
They knew the same thing.
100%.
Okay, she's right behind you.
I just was in a state like that not too long ago because of the situation with my brother, but I didn't know that I was in it like that. So when people was asking me what's wrong, I used to be like, I'm okay. And then whenever my mom used to be asking me what's wrong, I'd be like, I'm just irritated. Just irritated. I don't want to talk, I'm just irritated. Or I just bust out crying. But a few days ago, I sat in the tub and I just gave it up to the Lord. I got that situation up to the Lord because I don't want to be irritable. I don't want to walk around with a dark cloud on me.
So tell me about that tub.
It was a great tub.
Okay, so it's like you got to remember that tub.
Yeah.
that's what that means. Right. So yeah. So that. So honestly, what are you? Any of these things? What are you preoccupied, distracted by? Or let me ask you the question in a different way. What is it that you have a concern about, or that you're feeling uncertain about, and you're hoping things go a certain way? That too is anxiety. And you may say, oh, I'm not all that worried. But then if there's something that's going on in your head that you're hoping it turns out a certain way, and you're not okay with however it turns out, then that means that's anxiety. All right, so let's talk about it in that regard. You would say, I'm not really worried, I'm just hoping. That's anxiety. That's anxiety. It's right there. Hope, Hebrews 6 says, hope is the anchor of the soul, but the hope has to be hope in God. Not hoping that something turns out right. See, that's all right. Go on.
I'm anxious pretty much. And this has actually been, I mean, when I realized it, probably all my life, even as a kid. Anything that's off my beaten path, if it's something different that I have to do, I'm going to be anxious. Something I don't know the outcome of, I'm going to be anxious. Something I don't, like you said, you don't know how it's going to turn out, anxious. Got to do something I'm not used to doing, anxious. Got to go to the doctor, anxious. Yeah, so it's just always been that way. When I was a kid, even every morning, I could never eat because I was anxious about school. What's going to happen at school? So, it's not funny, but
Yeah, it's funny.
it's just all. It's just a tendency, but
Let me ask, do you want to keep it?
I don't.
Well, the only way you hold on to it is that you don't let go of it. That's what they mean. If you let go of something, you can't hold on to it. But if you hold on to something, you can't let go of it. See, now then she said it. This is to help all of us. I'm going to go to Psalm 42. And
why so downcast all my soul?
Well, it's a whole lot more than that.
Their trust in God.
Yeah. All right, starting at verse 1. It says, as the deer pants for the water, or longs for water, my soul longs for you, Lord. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Notice what it is saying. It said, I'm thirsty, and I'm knowing that that's the only way that this thirst is going to go away. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before him? Notice how the picture is being painted. Just as the deer makes it to this water brook and finally gets the chance to start drinking. It says that's the picture or the image where it says, my soul thirsts for God, the living God. But it asks the question, when am I going to come and appear before him? When am I going to come to him in order that my thirst can be quenched? Because it said that's the only way that's going to happen. Verse 3, my tears have been my food day and night, while they continue to say to me, where is your God? Now remember, these are the same people who hear us praising him at the top of our voice when everything is going a certain kind of way, when we want to talk about what he has done for us that made us feel so much better. That's the easy part. That's the easy part, when it's like, he did this for me, he did that for me. Verse 4, when I remember these things, I pour out my soul within me. And notice what it said, for I used to go with the multitude. I went with them to the house of God, with the voice of joy and praise, with a multitude that kept a pilgrim feast. In other words, it's saying, here's what I was doing, and I wasn't feeling like this. And I remember that I used to do it. So that also says I stopped. And as soon as I cut it off, I become thirsty again. We need to hear this for sure. I just turn the volume down. Just turn the volume down, and then that'll take care of it. All right. So then I remember what I used to do, and when I think about what I did, then verse 5 says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul?" Because it says you know what kept you from being like that. It says you know what kept you out of that hole. So he says now, you said you remember I used to go and there were others around me. They were rejoicing and we went to the house. And he says, why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him for the help of his counselors. Notice what he's saying. If I don't make this decision to hope in God. Now, some of us said we hope that it turns out a certain way. The hope has to be in him. It says, hope in God, for I shall yet praise him. So the hope escalates when I praise him because I'm reminded about him and that he's bigger than the circumstance, bigger than what I'm wondering how a certain thing is going to be, bigger than how I hope it turns out. Is that because I'm trusting him with what I'm preoccupied with. And that's your key. I'm trusting him with what I'm preoccupied with. Because I'm doing what he said. Bring that to me. I don't want you to carry it. I want you to let me have that so that you're free to rejoice and to thank me. You're free to rejoice and thank me if you turn over to me what you're preoccupied with. You see the difference? All right, let me stop right there. I guess the question becomes, how do you do that? Is that the question? Okay, I've tried to give you the chance to raise the question. You all didn't raise the question. Y'all just looking at me. I know that's the real question. Well, that sounds so easy. How do you do that? That is your question, right? Okay, now you probably say it's like yeah, that's easy for you to say, but it's not that easy. I heard you say it's not that easy, right? And see, but you only say it out loud. That's the part that I'm saying. It's not that complicated. Yeah, that part too. I knew that would be some of the thoughts that folks would say. You do this. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, you do it. And uh, just remember, we complicate it. It's not complicated. We complicate it because what he says is crystal clear. So now he comes back again to say the same thing. Oh my God, my soul is cast down within me. Therefore, I will remember you. So it's going back to your history to say, has he done this for me? Has he done that for me? Has he ever let me down? Has he always been there? And that says that he really has. Verse 9, I will say to God, my rock. Why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? As with a breaking of my bones, my enemy reproach me, while they say to me all day long, where is your God? And what they're saying is, I've heard you talk about him. Why aren't you talking about him now? Now, how about that one? He says, I've heard you talking about him. How come you're not talking about him now? He said, why are you acting the way you acting now when I've heard you talking about him among other people? I've even overheard conversations you talking about him. I don't hear you talking about him now. Where is your God? Now notice what they said. Where is your God? Because you were the one who was talking about him all the time. And you was even trying to tell me that I need to get to know your God. Now, how come you're not talking about him now? Child of God. Now, what do you do with that one? See, it's like, but you can't do it if you leave the well and when you become thirsty. Maybe you haven't really experienced thirst where your mouth is completely dry and it's parched, or if you've never been dehydrated to really know, and it starts to do so many different things to you. You're disoriented, and that when somebody is dehydrated and they get them to the hospital, they have to immediately start infusing and putting fluids inside of them in order for them to come back to being sane, literally. And it's have to just keep replacing and keep filling and keep filling and keep filling it. Then verse 11, after it says, where is your God? Then the private conversation, why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you, in other words, why are you acting like this? And ultimately says, hope in God, for I shall yet praise him, the help of my countenance and my God. In other words, I'm going to be different because he's going to change how I look, what I sound like, what people know. I'm going to start talking about him. I'm going to start doing all of that. And that's what ends up happening. That is it. All right. So now let me get the feedback from you all. We gave you all the answer. So now this is what I'm saying. Right now, we just gave you all the answer. Now we got to talk about the answer in terms of how do you implement it. And then we can come back to something else after that. How do you implement what you heard? That's the answer when we face this. When we face this. How do you take that next step? You know you stepped into that space. How do you take the step to get out of it? And then also to know how to help somebody else out of it. Because after you get that, then let me read this last passage, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3-7, just to really just write it down where it says, when God comforts and gets you out of that stuff, you now ought to be a tour guide to get other folk out of it, to realize you don't want to go there. You want to be able to say to them, oh, you don't want to go there. I can tell you firsthand, you don't want to go there. And I can tell you how to not go there, because once you get there, it's hard coming out. Because you're in that garbage dump in a new outfit, and it smells like you've been in a bad one all along when you come out. So what do you do? You've got to answer. What do you do? But Trace, let me hear what you were going to say, and then we're going to get to these answers.
My question is similar to Gwen. I've always lived.
Make sure we can hear you.
I'm always anxious. It's about anything. I'm anxious. I'm anxious even just talking on the mic. And a lot of times my anxiousness, I have to step in it and not allow it to take over me. So right now, as I get older, I'm getting anxious about things. It's just crazy, like driving. Like, why am I anxious for driving? I don't know, but I get anxious. And the part, if I sit in it and say, I'm just not going to do it anymore, I just can't do that. A lot of people say you have to face your fears. So I'm one of those people, I just step in that fear. But some of that fear it just takes over.
So based on what you've heard tonight, how do you approach it differently?
Well,
what the answer is given. The answer is given.
Well, I always go back to Philippians.
Nope. If we keep going back to it, then that says it's not in us. Are you all hearing this? If I have to keep going back to it, then that means I left it and it's not in me. Until this gets in us, we'll be prone to go away from it. So this is like having a wardrobe and you know what you have in your closet, but you don't ever put it on. So it really don't mean very much. You can brag to people about your wardrobe and they never see you in any of what you're talking about. So the thought is you probably don't have the wardrobe that you were talking about. We've got the wardrobe. We know what it says. The question is, have we put it on? So if you go back to Philippians 4 and say, be anxious for nothing on that, did you put it on? That's our question. Did you? Because if you don't put it on, it's just wardrobe. See, that's the part. That's the part. And it happened. And that when you put on a different outfit, I mean, just like we looked at a little bit of the Stellar Awards the other day, and they change outfits. Whenever they have these shows, every 5 minutes they come out in something different, and you're trying to remember what they had on, and some of you fashioneers try to compare this one versus that one and say they should have kept that one. That how you do that stuff, right? That one don't look right. They should have kept on the other one and never changed, and you get into all of that. But what you see is they change it, and they try to have everything matching from what they did because that's fitting what they wanted them to do. Now, if they insist on keeping on what they had on, that will be the last time they ever serve as the host of anything, because the word will get out is that they're not following the script. So there again, we can know the word wardrobe, but if we don't put it on, who's to know we've got it? Because when the question is asked, where is your God? They're saying, when it wasn't raining and the sun was shining, oh, you were kicking it up and screaming and hollering and bless your name, Jesus, and hallelujah to the King. Praise be unto the Most High God and everything, shaking your tambourine, dancing and doing everything. As soon as it started raining and your hair got all messed up and the outfit that you had was sticking to your body, and then all of a sudden, well, you're praising him then, and you just were 10 minutes ago when everything was going on and it was not affected. But then now the mascara, makeup, or whatever you had on, it started glipping, the eyelids, it dripped, the eyelashes and started falling. And now, where's that praise? Where is that praise? Because that's what the question is. Where is that praise now? You were just praying. Did you stop hope? No more pictures. Is that what it is? That's what he's asking. He said, that's wearing what he said. When you don't, then the enemy, the reality is the enemy, the kingdom of darkness takes over and you walk in the flesh. If it says without faith it's impossible to please him, Hebrews 11:6, somewhere in this, we got to change wardrobes. And it's even worse when you carry an outfit over your shoulder that looks better than the one that you have on. Because you had it, your walking outfit, to go put on the other one, and you never put it on. You never put it on. You show up for church, you're doing all of that. The other people aren't going anywhere. And they consistently stay the same. Have you noticed that? They consistently stay the same. The only flippers are the churchgoers. Those who don't stay the same or they come in the house. The flippers are the churchgoers who keep coming and keep flipping. It's just like a gentleman said he's been a barber over 30 years. And he said, I stopped going to church because I don't know how many pastors have sat in my chair. And the things that I was hearing them say told me I'll never darken the door of that church. They were flippers. They were not wearing the outfit. They had all the words. And here this person now here is saying, you've been one of my customers coming, sitting in this chair, and this is what you sound like. Not one, but he said, I don't know how many. And he said, where they are, I will never darken the doors. Okay. So that tells you they were not in the outfit. But now, and I hear you say, that's so sad. Isn't that so awful? I heard you. But what about us? What about us? I mean, what's the difference? It says, where is your God? That's the question. It's like where is your God now when it's not when I'm not going on all cylinders? Where is your God? Where is your God? You know what about there's this guy that just won his first professional golf tournament, and it was one of the most prestigious one, end of the year Champions Tour. He won, and he had been leading multiple tournaments up until the very end and always lost. And he had been doing it for years, and that they decided, oh, he'll never win because every time this is what he does. But in this particular thing, he was so happy-go-lucky throughout the whole time, making mistakes, but he kept staying focused. He shifted, and this time he won by more, and he shocked the golf world because the first one he's ever won was one of the most prestigious one, and the last two or three he had been leading until the last few holes of the tournament and lost. But he changed wardrobe. And when they were asking him, how did he do it? He said, I never gave up on me. He said, I knew that I could. They were the ones who saying that he couldn't. But he changed wardrobe. He wasn't down on himself when he made a mistake. He was upbeat, interacting with the people. And normally he would go the other route. He changed wardrobe. We can too. We can too.
I have something, Pastor. You say, where's your God? I believe he's still there. I know he's still there when I'm going through. I'll personalize it. I did have that question asked to me when I was at work one time, and Brian had just lost his leg, and so I was crying. I was doing all kind of things, but I wasn't crazy. I wasn't out of it, but I was, just upset, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember now, but the lady, one of my coworkers, she said, where's your God now? And so I was a little upset that she had asked me that, but he was still there. God was still with me, but I'm human. I was having a moment.
Oh, nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So you can't
No.
cry.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
No, you know what you said?
Mhm.
I'm human and I was having a moment.
Mhm.
You were already human before that.
Mhm.
You were already human. So you didn't become human because of that.
Mhm.
But now notice how it was said. I'm human and I
Mhm.
was having a moment. Like suddenly you became a human and were having a moment. You were already a human before any of that.
Yes, I was.
So, but it's just to say that's us.
Mhm.
That's us. And that's that eternal justifying and giving ourselves a pass for those moments that we're not at our best until we just stop to realize at that particular time it's not that God had left, we left him. That's the difference.
How just because I was crying, I mean,
No.
how did I leave him?
No, that meant you were not listening to what was being read. And go back to this again, what we read in Psalm 42. Soul, why are you cast down?
So
Soul,
should I have been rejoicing?
No, no, you don't just listen. Don't try to defend or justify or rationalize any of it, because that's not the point. Isn't about what you did. It's to help you to know why it was done. You couldn't help but do that if you were not in this other space. You would have done what was natural. What you did was natural. Staying here allows us to do it supernaturally because he steps in to cover. He steps in to cover, and then it becomes, how are you able to, because that becomes a different response when people see it, because you're not carrying. In other words, whatever we say, whatever we hold on to, we can't let go of it then, and when we can't let go of it, then God can't deal with it, because we're holding it, and he's never going to take it away from us, and it will overwhelm us, and it will do what it did to you. Just like anybody else who holds on to something that he said, give to me. That's why he said, give it to me, because it'll overwhelm you. It's only natural. So what happened with you was what will happen to anybody who has it in their own hands. It'll be the same for anybody. It would be the same for me. If I keep it in my hands, then it's going to take me down. That's just the way that it is. And it wasn't about the tears. The tears were not the issue. You said you didn't know why she asked you. That tells you she saw and experienced something different from what she had been experiencing. That was why they raised the question. Oh, whoa, wait, what is this? They're perplexed, because people who don't know him are still trying to figure it out. What's the difference between somebody who says they know him and somebody who doesn't? And the only way they know is in challenging situations, because everybody is expected to unravel in challenging situations. And his children have the security of him, whereas people who don't, they don't have that. We can turn all of our stuff over to him, and it don't press us down. But if we don't, it will press us down, and it's going to be a human, unnatural reaction, not the one we would want to see happen. It will just happen because we're overwhelmed. And so that's why I say, not human and having a moment. Not human and having a moment. We're all human. We're going to remain human. It just says, and because he knows we're human, then he says, that's why I tell you to give it to me, because I know you're human. This stuff will take you out, take you down, drive you nuts. And it's consistent with John 10:10. The thief comes to kill, steal, destroy, to break you down, to get you distracted, to have you to acting like you don't know him. And it's a setup. It's a setup. And know this. For every situation that gets the best of us, we're going to have to experience it again until it gets the best of God. There's your tweet. Say it again. It's too late. No, whatever gets the best of us, we're going to have to go through it again until it gets the best of God. Because the best of us, it will take us down. The best of God, it will take it down. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just kind of want to speak on that. Because when I first came back a couple years ago, I was going through my separation that eventually led to my divorce from my wife. And when I first came back, every Sunday I was embarrassed to come to church. Like, I would sit in the back. I would kind of hide, because I really didn't know who knew my situation, because we were so close knit on social media and things like that. And so at one point I wasn't coming at all. And then you got on me about that, and you were just like, I'm gonna leave you alone, and I'm gonna leave it up to you, what you gonna do. And I had to think, I'm like, is me feeling embarrassed worth me not still praising God and still coming to church and trying to do what's right and have a relationship, or do I just hide at home, from being embarrassed? And so once I got over that, I realized that my relationship was more important than my embarrassment, and I could face anything by just having faith and knowing that everything will be all right. So I could testify to feeling like that because I went through it. So that's just me.
Hmm. Yeah, he was running as fast as he could, as fast as he could, and right. It is the trying of our faith, James chapter 1. All these things are tied in together. It is the trying of our faith. Because he's always asking us this question: do you trust me more than you trust you? He's asking us this question. Do you trust yourself with the outcome? Or do you trust me? And he says, and I'm going to let you do it your own way. I'm going to let you do it your way. I'm not going to defy your will. I'm going to let you wear yourself out. Not my best, but I'm going to let you wear yourself out. And you'll have to decide to come to me. Now, our wonderful president is trying to play God when he says, the governor of Illinois should call me, and I would graciously receive his call, and I would answer it. In other words, he's sounding like God, like he really cares. But that's fraudulent because he don't really care. His motive is different. But he's going to say, if he just called me, then he come back and say, we're going anyway. You see how it goes? That's what the enemy does. He tries to tell you, oh, don't worry about it. You can handle it. You know what to do, and everybody don't need to know your business. You just go on. You handle it, because if you don't handle it, then people are going to be feeling some kind of way about you. And the enemy is getting in our head. Stay private. Don't be open. Don't be transparent. He says stay private. Do all that. And so then he can keep you in isolation. It's just like being in an abusive situation. Keep you in isolation until before you know it, you'll shut yourself off from God. And you'll be wondering, how did this happen? You would have drifted away because you got in the way. And what he is saying is, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. So we're going to stop here. And if there's a couple other questions, we'll deal with that. But we'll start. We'll pick this back up at some other point. But there's no need to pick it back up if you don't put on the wardrobe and start acting on this, because the only thing we'll be doing is adding some more stuff to your wardrobe. And that won't help you. Now, and here's how we know that. Have any of you all ever bought anything and you thought you were going to wear it and you didn't wear it soon and it hung in there? And sometime with the tag still on it. It's still hanging in there. And you're going to get around to it, but you haven't gotten around to it. And you've had it for a while. Or something you've gotten that you've never opened up. You know where it is? Okay. All right. Go on.
I need clarity. I've been working on allowing myself to be in situations that are uncomfortable, making myself do things that are uncomfortable so that I can I don't know to say grow, but for that, whatever that is, not to have it negative influence over me. So
you've been trying to put yourself in difficult,
I've
uncomfortable
intentionally
situations.
saying yes to do some. Now, I'm not saying bad things. I'm saying probably, because I can say this about me, a lot of the stuff that I'm referring to is commonplace. Probably everybody in this room, they can do it. It's no big deal. Example, I am not crazy about going into an environment that's networking and that kind of thing. I have never, that I can even recall, enjoyed that. That's never, it's not
Well, you
comfortable.
couldn't enjoy it if you never did it.
No, in other words, thank you. I had the experience or two job where you had to do it. I never was comfortable. I just didn't like it. So that when it wasn't corporate demanded of me. I'm kind of stumbling over this, but the point is, was dealing with being in an environment that most people probably don't have a problem with, or they enjoy it. I don't.
So let me ask you this:
Yes,
Do you want to tell people you want people to know Jesus, right?
I knew you.
No, I'm just asking you a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
All right.
he got me on that one.
all right.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's not. Or no, going back because we want to stay with the anxiety. Is that a masked anxiety, or that's just me?
You know the answer.
No, I'm bringing it up
No,
because
you know the answer. Yeah,
yeah, we're cousins.
yeah. Social anxiety. Yeah.
Okay.
So
You see how subtle that is? I would have just said it's my preference. I don't like it. I would not have connected with anxiety.
yeah, you don't. It makes you anxious and you're not comfortable.
Yeah, but I'm saying I would only deal with the word not comfortable. I don't like it. I wouldn't focus on the other attributes that you covered tonight. I wouldn't have connected it.
That's
Or
why
until you said something.
that's why we're here tonight.
Okay.
I don't like crowds either.
Or you don't.
They don't bother me. I don't be thinking about it. Yeah.
You see it, I gotta fix my face. See? Even my face.
Mm.
That was my question.
No, I don't do small talk well. But they say chewing the fat and all that. Oh no, you better be saying something or I'm leaving. Or I am leaving. Um, and I give them a chance. And when the conversation goes another way, that's enough. I'll stay and work my way through it. And I can listen to foolishness, and I really can. But when there's no opening, then I'll go. Not to run it, but strictly if there's no opening to shift it, then I'll leave. But I'll listen. I mean, if I've talked to crackheads and drunk people and flat out people with psychosis, and I'll still talk to them, then I can do that. If there's no opening for a shift, then it's time to go. But I'll run it to its limit until and after a certain point, then that means then that it's time to go. And then after that, then I'm good. It's just like one of those people now. Just I'm texting them. I'll get with them later. One of those people that I wait for an opportunity to shift the conversation.
Yeah, well, I'm healed from something tonight. I appreciate the Bible study. When my phone rings and it say Tracy Robinson, I used to think something was wrong. I don't think that no more after tonight.
See, see, that's good. That's good. All right. That's good. Brother Bobby, sometime I have to wait for people to stop cussing after a 2.5, 3 minute tirade, and then I'll find out what all they wanted after they finish their tirade. And I just have to wait. Like, okay, now, all right, now tell me what you really want. I heard you. Now tell me what you really want. And they just, and some would take offense, like, oh, okay, if this is how they talk, and oh, one of the guys said, he said, man, I'm not trying to talk like this around you. I said, yes, you are. This is how you talk. This is just how you talk. And you're not bothering me. Whatever you want to say, just go on and say it. Yeah, I'm glad you let me say it. That's why I like you. Because some of these other, that's whatever, man. Whatever, man. Whatever. That's why I try to give you all permission. If you come in and you feel like cussing, just go for it. Just gonna go for it. Yeah, it don't matter. Just gonna go for it. It's okay. If you're feeling it and it's in your heart, just unleash it. Just gonna unleash it. See? Yeah. If it's in your heart, the Lord already heard. The Lord said, I heard you cussing. The Lord said, I heard you cussing. You just didn't say it out loud, but you did cuss. All right. Okay. Anything else? So the real question is now, you got to know you are going to face a moment when we leave here. You're going to face something, and you're going to have to decide whether you're going to put the wardrobe on, because you most certainly will, because God's going to allow this to be tested. And then you all you have to do is ask yourself, so why are you cast down? Hope in God. Father, thank you for tonight. And thank you for those who are here and those who may have tuned in and those who may tune in at some point, and that they will receive what you're saying in Jesus' name. Amen. So you might want to make sure that you direct some folks to say, hey, you know what? You ought to listen, because you can probably be helped and set free.